Hello, and welcome to episode 47 of the Movie Bros podcast. We are your hosts, Duncan and Hayden. Hello, I'm Duncan.
And I'm Hayden. Welcome back, everybody.
And if you're new, welcome. If you've stumbled upon this, it's kind of a weekly conversation between two brothers who occasionally watch a movie or two and want to talk about it. We cover everything from, well, every genre you can possibly think of. We have probably either talked about it and watched it. But we are also open to suggestions on anything you might want to suggest for us to sit down and burn 2 hours or an hour and a half or 3 hours, with the movies nowadays. So yeah, we are open to suggestions for movies. You can reach us on our Instagram at @themovie_bros. You can find us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube. If I did it correctly, Amazon and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, that's what this is. That's who we are. These range around, sometimes they are short and sweet, somewhere around 30 minutes. Sometimes they are button up on 2 hours. It just kind of depends. Anything else, Hayden, you could think of before we get into it?
I feel like we've hit all of our marketing directives.
Sweet. So this week, folks, for episode 47 of the Movie Bros podcast, we are going to be talking about uh, the cinematic masterpiece, or at least the very fun masterpiece of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the kind of superhero movie before superhero movies. But before we get any farther, Hayden, what's some fast film facts about this?
Well, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, this was released in 2003. This is now over 20 years old. This is directed by Stephen Norrington, and I looked up what else he had done. He directed the first Blade and then had such a terrible time making this, he decided to never direct another movie again. This is written by James Robinson and very, very loosely based on the comic series by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. Music is by Trevor Jones, and you might recognize him from movies like Last of the Mohicans, Notting Hill, and Dark City. Cinematography here is by Dan Louston, someone who is very talented, has shot some the most visually interesting stuff in the past couple of years. Usually works with Guillermo del Toro. He's done things like Nightmare Alley, Crimson Peak, and The Shape of Water. This stars Sean Connery, Nasir Rudin Shah, Peta Wilson, Tony Karan, Stuart Townsend, Shane West, Jason Fleming, and Richard Roxburgh. And the two bits of trivia I have is that pretty much on its release day, both the directors and producers were sued by two screenwriters who claimed that they'd actually tried to adapt the comic books back in 1996, submitted their script to Fox, and that they would actually be getting like writing credits on this, although they don't actually show up in the writing credits. So I think they either settled out of court or they just lost that case. And then this is the final on screen appearance of Sean Connery
Yep.
after turning down both Morpheus in The Matrix and Gandalf in Lord of the Rings because he didn't understand either scripts. And those went on obviously to become huge cultural phenomenons.
But I think, it's the right call.
Yes, I mean I can't imagine Morpheus not being played by Lawrence Fishburne, and I can't imagine Gandalf not being played by Ian McKellen. But I feel like Sean Connery still would have been definitely fine in both of those.
I think maybe more in as Gandalf, not just the whole race part, but like just the
Oh,
vibe.
he's just not cool enough to be Morpheus.
Exactly.
Gandalf I could definitely buy, but like nah. Um, and then so the next script that came across his desk that he did not understand was this. He immediately signed on, and then it was received critically so poorly, he decided, you know what, I'm not going to do any more acting on screen. So that's the legacy of this movie, unfortunately. But that is all the kind of information I have for you.
I would say let's start with, is it too soon to make a remake of this?
I was having a thought about that watching this yesterday. I'm like, you know what?
Okay, I should
It's been
preface
like
that.
20 years. We could
But
do
I
this again
know,
with nicer CGI and have it not look
sure,
quite as muddy.
but I am very much against the whole just remaking shit. So I don't want to
Yes.
encourage that.
So technically, there is a series of story arcs in the comics. This covers the first one. There are other ones, and when they were first making this movie, all the main cast signed on to a three-picture deal. The original plan was to do all three story arcs, and then obviously this lost a ton of money. People didn't like it, so that was
Sure.
scrapped. But they could definitely just do another one,
Hmm.
cast different people, and then just literally not mention it, and I think it would work fine.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone would be. I don't think anyone would care.
No.
It's been long enough. Yeah.
Okay, but okay, so obviously this has a whole host of people in this, but let's just go through the line there. If you were to make a quote unquote remake and or continuation here, who would you cast as Alan Quartermain? Like who would you be replacing Sean
Mm.
Connery with? Because I had the thought, okay, you could get Michael Caine, but I'm not sure how old
No,
he
he's
is.
no, he's too old at this point.
Yeah,
Absolutely too old. I would get someone like well for
Neeson,
like yeah, Leeson wouldn't be a bad I would get Leeson and maybe like
Leeson.
Sebastian's fuck off.
Sorry,
I'm two margaritas deep, Hayden. Come on.
that's
Um
I should grab a beer.
uh I would get Sebastian Stan as like the Agent Sawyer character. Nah, actually he's already too old. I feel like
Yeah,
you
I was
need
to
someone
say
really
no.
young.
I don't
Maybe
know enough young actors off the top of my head who could play like
what's
that
his
kind of a
name?
guy.
I was about to say Patrick Schwarzenegger, but I feel like he's too much of a pretty boy. Like he's got too
Well,
much
to
of a
be
pretty
fair,
face.
Tom Sawyer in the one we're going to talk about is kind of a pretty boy in this.
No, he's not. I don't think he is.
Well, not as much as Dorian Gray, but like he is still kind of a pretty boy.
Okay, all right,
Perhaps a conversation for another time.
sure.
Um, do we want to do ratings? Do we want to just kind of thumb
No,
through some stuff?
I would just thumb through and we'll do ratings at the end because I think we did ratings at the beginning last time. Not that it really matters.
It does not matter at all. No. All right. Well, we could just thumb through some stuff. Mine is just kind of stream of consciousness as I watched it. So I guess my first thing is here. I like that it opens with the Fox logo and then it becomes part of the architecture of London.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just that I just always think that's cool and it kind of allows you to be more immersed into the movie instead of just hard cutting into like a skyline or something.
Did you? This is maybe an overarching thing, but did you realize this is basically the more or less the plot of Sherlock Holmes 2? Like it's Moriarty, and he's basically
Oh no, I know.
encouraging a world war
Um,
and funding it, and it's the exact same thing, except for this one's got superheroes,
I
basically.
mean, it is 100% the same thing, except this one doesn't have gypsies
Yeah,
and has
that's pretty
superheroes
much.
instead. But okay, who do you think does this plot better then? Do you think Game of Shadows is better at this plot, or do you think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is?
I mean, they're definitely. Well, one is very clearly like this is Moriarty, and this other one is not so much about that.
That's true.
And one's an ensemble cast versus hey, it's Sherlock Holmes and a bit of Jude Law.
Yeah, I guess they are very similar. That's true.
But I mean, speaking of just this being an ensemble cast, no, a lot of these people are not like big names beyond Sean Connery, but I think it's well casted.
I had that thought too. I mean, like even for back in the day, no one was a big name outside of
Hmm.
Sean Connery. But like, I'm kind of good with that. You know,
Yeah, no, I like it.
I think it helps me buy them more as their characters if I don't constantly have the oh look, that's Hugh Jackman, that's not Van Helsing.
Sure. Well, hey,
Which
Van Helsing is still good too, but
no
yes.
shade to Van Helsing, but like I feel like that's kind of in the same level of genre of like sort of monster action adventure kind of movie. Like I would pair this with Van Helsing, uh,
Hmm.
both Blade movies, you know,
Well, it's this.
that kind
Yeah.
of era.
Hmm. Uh, I'm just again, I'm just looking at my notes, which are chronological, but
Sure.
uh, when they're in Africa, and after, of course, all those guys come in and try to kill Quartermain, and then the one guy escapes and he's running away,
Hmm.
and it's again just a throwaway line, but when the actual Alan Quartermain to the bartender, he's like, "Bruce, Matilda," and they just throws him a rifle.
Right.
Great.
I assume that I because I haven't watched this in like probably over a decade, but like I know this has the reputation of being like a god awful movie,
It's
and
not
I
that
thought,
bad.
well, no, like I had not a great time. Like there are definitely flaws, but like this is totally fun. This is totally
Yes.
fine. Like
Yes.
I
No,
expected to like see
I
this
would
with new
say
eyes and come back like, oh, this was terrible. No, I still had a perfectly enjoyable afternoon.
I would call this good, not great.
Yeah. Like it's definitely above like middling, but it's definitely
Mhm.
not, terrible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna walk out of it and be like, "Meh," but I'm
Yeah, I
also
mean,
not gonna walk out of it being like, "Oh, that was terrible," or "That was amazing. I need to tell everyone about this."
sure.
The car is fucking awesome.
I
Oh,
fucking
well,
love the
okay.
car. It's so cool.
Okay, something I also thought of, which I don't think I've thought of before watching this movie, is without Nemo, they are kind of fucked.
Yeah, lots of the plot
On
hinges on
A lot of the plot hinges on his technology and everything else.
yes.
So, like the car, the ship, the Nautilus, the Nautili, uh, yeah, him having basically a small army on his ship.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I will say though, I love all the design elements for Nemo's stuff, whether
agreed.
it's the Nautilus, whether it's the Nautili, whether it's just the general architecture of the
Hmm.
inside. Like
Yes,
I
no, I agree.
love all the design elements. Like it's like super artsy and floral, but kind of still feels vaguely like, I'm trying to think of not say Middle Eastern, like Arabian, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm.
I like that they didn't just go for a normal looking submarine. I like that they made him
Sure,
look
it's interesting.
distinct. Well, just
Yes,
like his outfit in any given scene looks awesome.
of course. Well, it's
Like
like, yeah,
like
it's
he's
like an
got like blue
Arabian Night, but
dresses on
like,
and he's got like metal parts on everything. It's
hmm,
very cool.
and of course his first mate being Ishmael. Come on, it's great.
That I cringed at that line a little bit.
Yeah. Um, and I know it's from the actual graphic novel and all that stuff, but like this is an interesting cast of like not even like the people who are playing it, but the actual characters themselves. Of like,
Yes.
this is who's going to be this league of. It's just an odd, definitely
Well,
of the time. Like this is way obviously very clearly when they weren't trying to be Marvel or DC, they were trying to do their
yes.
own thing.
So I once upon a time when I went through and I read all the books. I depending on what it is, I do like Alan Moore's style of writing. He did the original Watchmen stuff, Superman for All Ages, this lots of very when they want to be very like heady projects. Um this is super sanitized as like an adaptation. In the books it's super gory and Mina Harker is frequently just walking around naked. She's not a vampire in the books either. She just has like scars all over her body from where she was being eaten by a vampire. And Quartermain is addicted to opium the entire run. And it's a lot of
Okay.
the story is him trying to like buy drugs and also, save the world. It's very weird. And I would also say just like not very cohesive. It's still interesting, but I think in some ways this actually distills a lot of what makes that story cool into a lot more cohesive package. Like this plot that they actually give us is a lot more streamlined than the first story arc that it's based on.
Well, I even wrote down like this doesn't really waste any time anywhere. Like even the spots where they're like talking to each other while on the top of the boat. Like, yeah, I mean that's maybe a minute and a half. Like, there's not a lot of downtime.
No, I mean, it even starts pretty quickly.
Yeah, like it's pretty immediate. Uh, Also, the music great. There
It's
is
so fun. Like
it's
I
very
was
good.
listening to it this afternoon through Spotify at work. It's like, yeah, this is like some really great adventure music.
Uh, there's one song that I didn't realize I had saved this song into my Spotify at some point in my past, and because I was looking it up, I was like, "Oh, what else is this?" And I didn't realize I'd already saved it. But the Sword of the Ocean, oh,
Yeah.
dude, great
It's
fucking
great.
song.
It's
Um,
great.
I love that Skinner when he puts his makeup on, it's just a dude in whiteface. That's his whole like. It's just a guy.
This the Skinner like CGI. Done pretty well. Like
For the
when he's
time,
like,
yes.
well, for
There, but not there.
2003, it's
Yes.
great. Like, I don't
Although
even know
there
how you
okay,
would improve upon it if you made it now.
there were times though when, like, when Quartermain caught Skinner, like, messing about in his quarters and just threw him out.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, there's clearly, like, he's just holding on to nothing." Like,
I
it's
I did
just
have that thought too.
it's just, yeah,
It's
it's literally
just Sean Connery kinda
James Bond,
pantomiming.
like, pantomime. Yeah, kinda wild.
So something that I noticed that when Quartermain is first being shown into, like, M's study and he's slowly turning on lights while he's monologuing, that big double door he walks through has the Masonic Lodge symbol
I
all
saw
over
that too.
it. It's the exact same one on, quote, unquote, "The Phantom's cane." Like,
Oh, I didn't realize
it
that.
is it yeah, well, I didn't notice it until I rewatched it for this, but,
Well,
like,
I saw it on the doors, I didn't realize it was on the cane. Hmm,
yeah, it's just like, it is actually telling you if you're looking at it.
sure. I had forgotten because, like, obviously I haven't seen this in a while, but even as a kid and even now as not such a young kid, the transformation to and from Mr. Hyde always freaked me out. Always was so creepy.
I I I
Which I
love
think
looking at that now. It did used to freak me out, but I'm like, looking at it now, I was, like, pausing mid-sequence like, "Oh, look at all this practical prosthetic stuff. Oh, that
sure,
looks great."
sure.
And that's kinda my takeaway on Jekyll and Hyde's thing in this pretty much all the way. It's like, there are
Oh yeah,
some CGI enhancements in certain scenes. For the
but
most
for
part,
most of it,
he's, like, decked out in head to toe, very cool looking prosthetic work. Like, I understand how this movie lost a bunch of money because that could not have been cheap to do that convincingly.
yeah, probably not.
It was really impressive.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, but when they're up on deck trying to shoot those little red balls in the water, did
Yep.
you notice how absolutely ridiculously long the barrel of that rifle was?
Yes.
It was like it was like 6 feet of just barrel.
Well, and also, like, it's a shotgun.
Well, no,
It's
well, it looks it's not a shotgun, it's just, like a hunting rifle.
I mean, still though, that thing must weigh a ton, and it's like
Yes.
6 feet long.
Uh-huh.
It's not like if it is a real gun, obviously, but like just craziness.
I did like the little tiger scene. See, even, like, the parts where it slows down a little bit.
Hmm. Well, I will say that this doesn't slow down all that much, but it's decent when it does. It's not like it doesn't drag it down too much.
No, not at all. I could see how this would be a dope video game. Maybe it was one when it first came out, but, like,
Oh, especially with the 2003 graphics. Yes.
exactly, like, all the different characters you could play as and all the different, like, "Oh, you're gonna take the boat to this next destination, and then you're doing this." Like,
Have it be like semi-open world and the boat's the home base and you can choose to go to different areas. Yeah. I did think on a rewatch that the Phantom is a dumb stand-in for a bad guy. Like, even if spoiler alert or whatever, like even like three-quarters of the way through the movie, we find out it's actually M. But like, it's just stupid looking. Dude looks like he's a metal band singer that relies on like gimmicky metal masks. It's really silly looking. But I think he's supposed to be a play on, like, Phantom of the Opera because of the mask, and
yes, I
everyone
think
else
so too.
is and everyone else is a literary character.
Obviously, I think the ending makes more sense when you realize it might have been part of a trilogy. Because 'cause I'm like, I mean, it's kind of a tease, but it's kind of not a tease,
I
like
mean, it definitely is. The band's gonna go see the new world, and
well,
we're
yes, but
bringing
then they're
Alan
like,
Quartermain back to
"Oh,
life.
Quartermine might be alive," and at the first I was like, "Okay, if they're only gonna make one of these, like, what the fuck are they doing?" But no, that makes a lot more sense that if it's gonna be a trilogy.
Or it was meant to be, yeah.
Yeah. What else? Oh, yeah, I like that English summer is just rain.
I mean, I remembered that joke from when I watched it, and it's still funny. Like, it's
Mhm.
a really easy joke, but it's just like, "Oh, pack for an English summer. Downpour."
You were saying, though?
Speaking of the water, though, I think the one part where this does kind of lack visually is whenever they're looking at the water, essentially. The submarine itself looks fine. The water it's going through kind of looks like a screensaver. And when they're sinking Venice, it looks really questionable sometimes. Like, it's fine for 2003, but I just think that, it looks a little dated. We could maybe upscale this if we were to re-release it or something, but just like, it doesn't make it bad. It just makes it feel like its era, I guess. Something I also
Well,
thought was the first time when Mr. Hyde is like covered in chains and he's whipping people around like yo-yos, and then he like when he fully detransforms back into a normal guy, like they're all making him, oh, he's such a weakling. I can see his abs. Like dude's in shape. He's just not buff.
yeah. He's not a big guy. He's just yeah.
I also think that it is interesting in the pre-Marvel era, there kind of isn't like a buff shirtless dude scene, nor is there any really like Mina Harker doesn't come across as like super sexy or anything. Like she's definitely
She is,
attractive.
but not, no, it's not so flamboyantly in your face.
No,
Yes.
it is. It was refreshing to watch this after, you know, having seen action movies for the past 15 years or so become eye candy for either persuasion. It was just odd to see everyone be characters.
What else you got, Hayden?
I mean, I'm so I had mentioned that I liked Nemo's outfits. I also like Dorian Gray's stuff, where it's off white and it's striped silver. Like that's super cool, and I like that
I
it
mean,
makes
honestly, I think most of their costuming is
well,
pretty like
right. Like, and I like how everyone stands out from each other. Like they all look different. Like you because Quartermain never really looks like he's out of jungle attire. You have Jekyll either being big Hulk guy or he's super straight laced and like wearing a nice trim suit. Then you have Mina Harker wearing her like vampire dress. I like that there was attention to detail to where they weren't all just kind of wearing Matrix black. Because as
yeah,
much as I like that first X-Men movie, I hate those costumes,
so
and I
much
like that
leather.
so much leather with no color, and everyone just kind of looks like they're wearing motorcycle pads. I like that this didn't do that. That's kind of all I have written down, uh,
Me
you
too.
know, aside from like ratings. But what would you give this out of 5? Do you think?
I'd call it a 3.5. Like better than middle, but not amazing. I don't think I'd give it a 4. That seems too generous, but
I went in thinking I was going to come out and be like, oh, you're right, all the reviews are correct. This is like a 1 out of 5. Like no, this
no.
is like well, I'm gonna agree with you and be like, yeah, this is a 3.5 out of 5. Like it is decent fun. It is certainly not perfect, but like I don't understand where all these reviews are coming from, being like, oh, this is such a insult to movie making and it's so terrible. It's like, did you guys watch it with your eyes closed or something? I don't get it.
Again, it is from a different era.
I mean, and I had that thought too. It was like, okay, I remember really enjoying this when I was this came out in 2003 when I was 11. So I thought, maybe it was like just like nostalgia blindness, but I still think it's a very solidly fun movie.
Well, agreed, 100%. I would definitely call this like if you're looking for a fun time, this is very easily like not a lot of people are not going to find this fun.
Well, that's gonna wrap up our main movie episode, but we're now gonna segue into things we're looking forward to watching, things we've watched in the past week, all that kind of stuff. So, Duncan, I assume you've probably watched more than me, but maybe not. I'm not sure. What have you watched recently?
I haven't watched a ton because I don't know, life, but
That's totally fine.
what was the last thing? Let's see. Would have been The Vast of Night, yeah?
Yep.
Well, I watched One Night in Miami, which is a like fictitious story
Fictitious
of
historical movie.
yeah. So it's Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke, like all very prominent African
Sure.
American men around the civil rights movement. And I mean, the concept is interesting. I don't know.
Is
I
it
felt
just
like
them talking?
more or less it's just them talking. So I feel like they could have done more. It's directed by Regina King, and you'd recognize her because she's actually an actress known for like a ton of stuff.
As I
She
say,
was
yeah,
in
she
Jerry.
she she sounds familiar.
No, if you saw her, you definitely recognize her. And this looks like her first like major movie. So
Hmm.
maybe it's just her not having enough directing chops of like, and maybe it's the writing. I don't know. Uh,
Might be a writing thing.
but good, not great. Uh, then The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then just last night I watched a documentary about Formula One about how like they didn't give a fuck about safety until like even the early 2000s when they're like, oh, we should probably make sure these people don't die every year. Uh, so yeah, not a lot this week, but yeah, that's what I've been watching. Anything on your end?
Um, I've also only watched a handful of things. I watched um Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Now that's not the really bad number 3 one with the giant grasshoppers. This is number 2. I'm a Jurassic World apologist. I am fully aware that they are very flawed continuations of Jurassic Park,
You mean there's
but
not good? Yeah, I agree.
I okay, so
They're not
I
good movies,
I
Hayden. Even the first one, it's not a good movie.
I think the
It's
first
not even a
one.
fun movie.
Let me talk. So remember when we were talking about the sequel trilogy in our Star Wars episode?
Yes,
To me, I guess the Jurassic Park sequel trilogy has the same problems. I think in that no one really knew what they wanted to do with it, and a lot of it
sure.
was just trying to retread the same ideas and
Yeah,
jangle like cameo keys in front of everybody. Look, guys, it's Sam Neill. Please come watch the movie. We swear it's not garbage.
that's
So
fair.
I agree with you. I think Jurassic World is essentially just a remake of Jurassic Park. I I I do think that Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the one that I'm talking about, number 2, is a remake of Jurassic Park 2. I think it's actually the better version of that storyline.
Well, granted, Jurassic Park 2 was not good.
Well, exactly. That's why I prefer this one because I think it takes the same ideas of paramilitary land on the island, they capture some animals, and then they try and sell it at like this auction for like you know the dark web or whatever. I think that works so much better as a concept rather than just, hey, what if we had a T-Rex sail a boat to San Diego and then run around on the freeway? So I like them. I think they're fun. Also doesn't hurt that Bryce Dallas Howard is really attractive. So I watched that. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters. So that's not Power Glove Godzilla, but it's also not Gareth Edwards Godzilla. This is the one where they have King Ghidorah wake up, and I think is visually the most artistic one, especially by American studio standards. Unfortunately,
I
it
will
also
take your
has
word
a
for it.
lot of Millie Bobby Brown playing a really annoying character.
Yeah, she's kind of the worst in everything.
I I think she's fine in Stranger Things,
She's fine.
but like in the same way that Emma Watson is fine in Harry Potter. And then
What?
she
No, she's
tried
great.
doing other projects and all of them were crap.
She didn't really do anything else. What are you talking about?
She did The Bling Ring, she did Perks of Being a Wallflower. She did other
Perks of Being a
stuff.
Wallflower was good.
I didn't care for it. I don't know. But
Okay.
regardless, I think that yeah, I think that Millie Bobby Brown's character in Godzilla King of the Monsters really annoying, reminds me of the kid in Terminator 2 who's just really whiny. Other than that though, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very fun and very artistic version of a giant monster movie. But that's all I watched. Have there been any trailers come out recently? I know that there's a new Superman trailer out today, but I don't know if either one of us are all that interested in it.
I watched the trailer. I'm still
Isn't it
pretty
essentially just
meh.
the same kind of thing they already released, just with a couple more minutes of footage?
Meh to a certain degree. Lex Luthor looks good. Nicholas Holt, I think
I
will do
like Nicholas
good,
Holt.
but
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm very worried it's going to be overstuffed and just kind of another copy paste of all of James Gunn's other stuff.
they released quote unquote the main trailer, even though they've had whatever. It's the last I think trailer for F1, and they're doing a lot more promotional stuff.
Yep, you sent
Again,
me one.
yes, looks good. I'm still very excited.
I mean, I didn't actually watch the trailer just because I'm already excited. I don't want to see any more footage of it. I want to go in.
That's fair.
to be surprised as much as I can because I'm already sold on the concept. Like
Of course.
I don't want to see anything else.
Otherwise, I don't think anything else has really come out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes this section isn't that long.
And from there, we go to icebreaker audio, which is where one of us picks a question to ask each other. These are just like a general, like, get to know you kind of question. If you have been here before, you probably have heard us discuss this. And I will say now that we are approaching 50 episodes slash 52 slash been doing
Which
this
is kind of
a
nuts.
year. Yeah. Trying to be consistent.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's probably at least 30 solid episodes, give or take, of things
Yeah,
you
I
folks
mean,
should look backwards on. So if you are
it
listening to
did
this
take us
either,
to like episode 20 to figure out how to
yes,
edit and
like
do some other
15 or so,
stuff.
probably. Yeah. Either way, I was
Yeah.
just saying, if you are either new or newish, and you haven't gone back to listen to some newer or older episodes, I would recommend that you do, because I think there is some pretty good little golden nuggets in there somewhere. But that's what icebreaker audio is. And my question for the week, Hayden, is
Hmm.
if you were a Greek or Roman god, who would you be and why?
I don't know. Let me think.
You can Google if you need to Google.
Would I pick an existing god or would I make up a new one?
Dude, it's your question. Whatever you want to,
It's
like, however you want
it's
to.
literally not my question though.
I'm saying, like, it's your question to answer, so interpret it however you'd like.
Okay. What do you think you would be?
Um, I mean, I like the vibe of Atlas, like holding up the heavens is pretty sick, but I also don't want to just stand somewhere holding something up for all of eternity. Hercules is not a god, he's a demigod, so he doesn't count. Maybe Apollo? I don't
Hmm.
know. Or Neptune? Or I mean Ares, or his
Ares, the god of
counterpart Mars.
bloodlust. I don't think that would make sense for me. I'm not an angry person, or I don't think I am anymore.
Or like, I mean, he's technically a Titan, but Prometheus, like, literally stealing fire from the gods to give to man. Pretty fucking cool. But of course,
True, true.
then they strap him to a tree, and then his innards get eaten out every day by crows until they regrow. Which also kind of sucks. Or you could be the ultimate fuckboy and just be Zeus.
I don't want to be Zeus. Zeus rapes people. That seems
Dude, Zeus
bad.
is such an asshole.
Zeus is like, "Hey, I'm a sexy swan. You want to mate with me, random Greek woman?"
I love that, like, I recently rewatched Hercules, and I was like, oh, they pretty much gloss over the
Oh,
fact of, like,
they make
the
Zeus look like a doting father. No, he fucking wasn't. Like even I know that. I think maybe Dionysus, because isn't
wine.
he? Yeah, like wine and relaxation and partying, as far as I understand it. Just having quickly thumbed through Wikipedia, unless I completely
Yeah,
misunderstand
he's
that.
like celebration wine. He's also, like, I think he's a figure for like polyamory, if I remember right.
Ooh, well, both the Greeks and the Romans were into some weird relationship stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
that would probably be like the order of the day. So I'm not claiming that aspect of it, but I think
Okay,
the other parts probably.
that's fair. Okay, I think that's a pretty straightforward answer from both of us, more or less.
Right.
So
So I said Dionysus,
Dionysus
and
and
I was gonna say I don't think you answered. I think you started saying Apollo, but then something else.
maybe it's I'm trying to remember which version is Roman and which one is Greek, but Neptune versus
Neptune versus Poseidon.
Poseidon. Maybe Poseidon, but see, Poseidon is, like, always said to be, like, super rageful, like the
Yeah,
temptress
I
of the
mean
sea
that's
kind of
why.
vibes.
Yeah,
And
like
I
isn't
feel
he
like I'm
like
way more chill than that.
you are? I
Yeah,
mean, you are pretty chill. Yeah,
I would probably go more Apollo than, like, at least, even I love the ocean, but maybe Apollo. I
that's
don't know.
fair. That's fair.
The golden boy. That's me.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know
I'm
if
not
that's
even gonna
actually
touch
me,
that.
but all right. So that's Icebreaker Audio. That was what we watched and what's coming out. That was general discussion about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We had some fast
If they
film
would like
facts in
to watch
there.
this, where could they do that?
So League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is currently available at least on Tubi for free, among all the weird other platforms. You can obviously rent it from Amazon or
Amazon.
YouTube, I think.
Yep.
But next week, we have got another, at least Tubi specific, which is Chef, the, like,
The Jean Favreau
John
Favreau.
Favre with Sofia Vergara, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna watch. Yeah, you can find that. You can find that on Tubi. Obviously, I think you can probably rent it from other places. It's a very generally positive movie. It's definitely gonna make you hungry, if I remember correctly. But we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that all next week on the Movie Bros podcast. Again, we have been Duncan and Hayden, and we'll catch you all next week.